Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar on tracking deadlines using Notion. I'm Betsy Malarczyk, a learning skills specialist with the Academic Resource Center at Georgetown University. We're going to be going through some usage of Notion and really clicking through and getting to use its interface. So if you have any questions throughout, please feel free to add them to the chat, and I will be keeping an eye on it. There are two major reasons that I've seen students avoid Notion. One is the misconception that you need to pay a fee for access. While there is a paid option for groups, Notion is free for individuals. And not only that, but the Plus plan, which does have some of the group options, is free for students and educators. So if you want to take advantage of this feature, create an account using your Georgetown email address, and you can sign up for an account at www.notion.so. The other misconception that I frequently hear is that Notion is a note-taking platform. While Notion does have a lot of great features related to note-taking, these only represent a small portion of the platform's offerings. So with that in mind, today we're going to be focusing on how to use this tool to track deadlines for multiple classes at once. As you can see, I'm already logged into my Notion account. Over here on the left-hand side of the screen are my pages. This second page here, Master Assignment List, is what we'll be working to create today. As you can see, we have one master list of assignments for all of my classes. So I have 3 classes here: Econ, Theology, and Government. I have assignments divided by homework versus major assignment over on the side, and it keeps going. It's a longish list. Once we've set up this list, we can also view these dates in a calendar format. So scrolling ahead, I can see all of the items from that master list throughout the entire semester, and they're generated automatically. And then we can also view these assignments by course. Here are just my econ assignments, or even assignment type. So here are all my tests and papers. So the first step for making all of these smaller lists is to create this master list, which I have named here All Assignments. Once we've made this one list, which is the most work of this process, we can easily create all of these smaller lists. So first, we are going to create a new page. We will do that by returning over here to the left-hand menu bar, and we're going to click Add a Page. This seems like the easiest step, but this is actually sometimes the most confusing, because since Notion is so smart, we have too many options. For the template that I've just shown you, we are going to click on, under Database at the bottom, the Calendar option. It is looking for a data source because you can actually add other pages that you have, but we are starting from scratch. So we are going to click over here on the right-hand side, New Database. So what we have now is our blank calendar. So we're just going to title this whole page. We'll call this the Ultimate Assignment List. And then just for fun, maybe we'll come over here, we'll click on the side, and we will add an icon. We'll add this icon. So now we have our basic new page that we're going to be building this whole template on. So we'll come back to the calendar view once we've built our assignment list, which again is where we're going to be putting in most of the information. So how we'll create that is on this page next to calendar view, we have this plus sign at the top. So we have the option to add different formats. We are going to stick with this first format that it gives us and add a table. And we are going to give it a name. We're going to call this all assignments. So now we have our all assignments tab up here at the top. And again, this is highly customizable. We can even here, the categories that come up naturally in this format are name, date, and tags, which are important. We can add more categories based on how in-depth you want to get by clicking the properties element over here. So we can click that plus and we can add a new property. So just to show you what I mean, I might add status, which we can edit. We're going to leave it as is, but now a fourth category has appeared, status. That will basically allow us to say whether something's not started, in progress, or done. So it can just be fun to see what's there so that you can customize. Now that we have our template, we can begin adding all of our assignments. So the easiest way to do this is to add assignments one class at a time. That way you can sit down with one syllabus or one Canvas page and just sit down and add everything all at once. You'll be able to sort items however you want to see them, whether it's by class or date later. So don't worry about that as you're inputting information. I would recommend entering all of your major deadlines at the beginning of the semester for assignments such as tests, papers, and presentations. These assignment dates are less likely to change while being more likely to sneak up on you. So entering that information at the beginning of the semester can help you stay on track later on. However, with day-to-day homework assignments such as readings, I tend to only enter in what is due during the next week or two because that information is more likely to change if there's a snow day, for example, or even if a reading takes 2 classes to discuss instead of 1. So let's begin adding assignments. I'm going to begin just by adding the major assignments for calculus class, which are going to be several tests. Test 1, 2, and 3 is how we're going to label them. So all we do is in this bar right here, we add the name for the assignment. You can be as specific or vague as you want. So we're going to say test 1, and then we're going to put the date, which is February 6th. So a little calendar comes right up. Now for the tags. The tags are the most important part for this ability to sort via different components. You can create whatever tags you want, but this is basically how you're going to process and label these. So I am labeling this in 2 ways. One, I'm going to make a tag by class. So this is my calculus tag. And then I'm also going to mark this as a test so that I know that we have a major assignment here. So we can also change the colors by clicking here. Calculus, we'll make blue. Test, I want to make red. There we go. So we can add another assignment just by clicking here. Right under that, we'll add 2 more tests. So we'll have test 2 on March 13th. And then we'll also add test 3 on April 24th. And then we will add tags, the same tags for both of these, which now that we've created the tags, really easy to just add those in there. So if we want to add homework assignments to the same list, I can add them while creating different tags. So as I mentioned, I put my big assignments for the entire semester here, but I'm just going to put homework assignments for calculus for the next week. So we have problem set 1, due January 23rd. And then we have problem set 2 due January 30th. And we can add our calculus tag because that's still relevant, but we're also going to add a new tag. I'm just going to call this homework. We're going to change the color because I don't really like that color. Change it to purple. And so now we have a way to distinguish between our major assignments, the tests, and our more general homework assignments. We can also, if we want to play with the status bar we changed, we can add in progress to our homework that we hopefully started because it's due soon, long assignment. So you may have, while I'm adding these, been wondering about these boxes that appear here that say open. This is kind of your next level. Once you've gotten comfortable using Notion, you can add for each of these assignments information here. So you can link to a Canvas page about this, link to a website, or include just general information. They have this option here, so you can type / for commands, and it will give you the simple templates in Notion that you can add. So for this, I think something I would want to choose is just a to-do list. To-do list for a test. Maybe we would say chapter 3, practice problems, make flashcards. And this is information that can go away, but whenever you click on this to-do list comes back. So that can be a very handy tool. And this is one of the reasons a lot of people like using Notion, is because it is so rich in terms of what you can add to it. It can be your kind of one-stop place for everything once you get used to it. So we also want to add assignments for other classes to our list. We will do this on the same page, and we'll kind of explain the filtering process later. But for now, we just need to add everything to one page. So we're going to add some assignments for Spanish. So first we'll start with our long-term assignments. We have essay 1, essay 2, and essay 3. Our first essay is due January 26th. Our second essay is due February 23rd. And our third essay is due April 4th. Excuse me, April 6th. So for our tags, we're going to create 2 new tags for this. We'll make our Spanish tag first, and then we're going to add a paper tag. I like pink for paper, but we're going to change Spanish to, I don't think we've used green yet. There we go. And then we can add these for all of our essays. Now, for some folks, you might not feel the need to sort it by test versus paper. You might just add it as major assignment, which means those assignments that require more preparation versus your day-to-day activity. But again, we're going to add our homework assignments to the same list. But we might even add something like a presentation for Spanish. Let's say we have presentation 1 and presentation 2. We can continue to add new tags for that. So let's say this one is February 9th, and our next presentation is due March 16th. We can add Spanish and then also add presentation, or I think I will just use this as an opportunity to make that major assignments tab. But I didn't save it. That would help. To save it, I just had to hit enter on my keyboard, and we'll make major assignments yellow. And yeah, finish major assignments. So we'll add our homework assignments too for the next week so that we have them all in one place. So read chapter 2, due tomorrow. This will say is in progress. And then this would be Spanish and homework. And then we'll just add one more assignment before we move on to the next view. Worksheet 2. Due February 24th. Excuse me, January 24th. And Spanish and homework. So we have a pretty robust list of deadlines now. And one of the reasons I do like keeping track of assignments digitally is that you can sort items in different ways. So something here that I would find really helpful, especially since I put these in by course, is the ability to sort by date, which I can do by clicking on date up at the top, just the menu. And then if I click sort ascending, there we go. We have all of our deadlines in order of what's coming up next. So I can get a view of what I have to do this week into next week. We can also do that by sorting over here. If we click on tags and say sort ascending, it will go back to sorting by class and then by major assignment type. So that gives us another opportunity to kind of sort according to how we want to view this. Now, we can also get a really good visual view of these assignments by clicking back on calendar view, which you may remember. All of these assignments have been automatically uploaded here. So we don't have to go in and put these in individually. They appear throughout the semester. And if you click on the page you made, if you ended up making a page, that will appear if you click on it as well. And that's because these different tabs that we have on this page are different ways of seeing the same content, which is important to note as we add another table. Adding another table is going to allow us to look at our assignment list in a different way, but we're not creating a new compendium of information. And I'll explain more about that as we make this. So we're going to make another table again by selecting this plus at the top. We are adding a table. As you can see, it's actually uploaded the table as it is. If we were to do a different format, we would have the same content. Here's the timeline, for example. You can kind of look at it in a different way. But we're just going to delete this view, but you're not changing the content. You're just changing how it's presented. So I'm going to make another table. We'll call this table major assignments. There we go. Yep, so we have calendar view, all assignments, and major assignments. And what we want to do is potentially play with what information we're highlighting. Now, as I mentioned several times, we're not creating a new list, and I just want to show you what I mean by that. So here at all assignments, the final assignment here is worksheet 2, January 24th. That's the top assignment here, worksheet 2. We can delete this assignment. Let's say we just go up here, delete it, we're done with it. If we go back to all assignments, that assignment's gone. So if we delete something from one page, it's deleted from another tab on the same page. You'll see over here on the left-hand side, I have many different tabs. These don't interact with one another in the same way. It's just these tabs and how they interact with one another. So that's why instead of deleting assignments, we are going to play with filters. We can do that so that we filter out the information that we don't want to have on our list. So what we'll do for major assignments is we'll go up to tags and we will scroll down to click on filter. And we can choose which of these filters we want to see. This is our major assignment list. So I want to see tests, I want to see papers, and anything that's a major assignment. So those are the tags we're seeing, and I can look only at these major assignments and not at the homework that I have on a day-to-day basis. Then I'll sort this ascending, and now I can kind of see when my big assignments are due in the semester as a whole. We can also use the filter feature for calendar view. If we click on our calendar and we go up to the top and we click on filter, we can look at tags. And if I do the same thing, test, homework, paper, I didn't want homework, that's wrong, major assignments. And then we can go through and just see when do I have major assignments. So my next one's in a week. I have 2 this week, 1 this week, 2 this week, 1. So I find this really helpful as someone who's more of a visual learner to kind of see what weeks do I need to be wary of. Like this week, I have 2 assignments, second week of February. And then also knowing that the week after spring break, I have 2 major assignments, which is just cool. And we can play with that very easily by returning up here at this little drop down that's appeared and kind of putting everything, nothing, however we want to see this. If we just want to see calculus homework, for example, we can just do that. And then we see problem set 1, problem set 2 test. So a lot of different ways to view the information. We can create as many of these specific lists as we want. And again, they'll reflect any changes made to the master list. So you don't need to update every table made within the same page. You're only updating that one master list. That's where you're keeping all of the information. So you can see that from the page I showed you at the beginning, which was a master assignment list I had made beforehand with 3 different classes. And I kind of added a whole bunch of views here. We have our calendar view, which is a little more robust, so we can see everything that I have due in the next few weeks. I have items sorted by class. So I have an econ tab. Here's everything I know about for my econ class. I have just a regular homework tab, so I can see my day-to-day homework. And then I also have major assignments as well as those other classes as well. So again, I just make these tabs by creating a new table and editing the tags on the side. So again, a lot of freedom in how you want to view this information, which can be really helpful. So this is a really basic template for how to keep track of your assignments. Notion can be customized in a lot of ways, and it can be heavily customized depending on how you want to use it. I will mention, if you're new to Notion but curious to see more, another good tool to know about is that there are a lot of templates already on Notion. So if I come over here on the left-hand side and see the templates icon and click on that, there are a lot of student-focused templates. So they have their own course schedule template that you can create. They have a grade calculator. They have a few class notes, a student dashboard. So a lot of these templates can be a good way to get started. And then the more you use it, the more you can kind of play around with it and design things based on how you want to use them. So a lot of good options on Notion. If you have any questions or comments about using Notion, feel free to add them to the chat. I did want to take a moment to discuss our next webinar, which will be coming up on Tuesday, January 31st at 4 p.m. on how to develop a reading schedule. So how to kind of work in a schedule to keep up with the readings into your weekly calendar. So feel free to join us then. And otherwise, if you have any questions, I'll stick around to see if any pop up in the chat. But thank you for joining us and happy planning.